Voilà, je passe aux toilettes et j'arrive.
Okay.
Christian and Jewish people to come together for a conference and hear another voice, i.e. Buddhist.
Yeah.
You know, just for a change to try to break through the lock, you know.
Yes.
And so I was going to go, but then there was a war between Israel and Lebanon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was on 2006,
it
I
was
think.
too late for reconciliation.
Must
Or
have
too
been,
early,
yeah.
I don't know.
It was
Yeah.
on 2006, I think.
Okay.
The last
It
war.
was some time ago.
Anyway.
Then I went to Israel and stayed in a kibbutz and on the Lebanese border. And they said 2 weeks before, planes had been flying over, bombs dropping. I mean, what a world to live in.
Yeah.
Anyway, in our this world symposium, yoga and psychology, your intervention was too much interested, and so many people liked what you talk, and they asked us to invite you because they need such a knowledge and they need such a speech. And
well, I think they just need a voice from outside of this closed, you know, everybody's so locked into their own view that they need some
identities,
from
yes,
outside, which is not caught up in the historic, you know, problems.
So voice of enlightened common sense.
Well, enlightened common sense would help, wouldn't it?
Yes, definitely.
It's very devoid of it at the moment. 1 minute, I just need to get a clock.
Okay.
مخدوم ايه يلا بعد بكير في ربع ساعة.
So where are you at the moment, Jacques?
Jacques is in France and I am in Lebanon. He will come in 1 minute.
Yeah, no problem.
And Jacques,
so in this, please explain to me, is the translation simultaneous, or should I just say a few words and then someone will translate? How will it go?
Who are attending, they know English.
Okay.
So, and after Jacques and me will organize 2 sessions, one for Arabophone and other for Francophone, to explain and to translate. So today we talk in English.
Okay.
Try to talk like you are talking this moment, slowly, because French people or Arab people, they will like to.
I'm used to speaking slowly and clearly because I live in India. Right?
Yeah. With your, me also, I lived so long time in India, so I still have an Indian accent in English.
Where do you live in India?
I lived in many places, Rishikesh, even Dharamsala. I lived in Dharamsala a few times.
Okay.
And
we are about 2 hours from Dharamsala.
Jack told me, so maybe one day we'll visit you.
Please come. Once all this is over, this whole lockdown situation.
Yeah. I should have also your number, your phone number, so to be in touch with you, and we'll.
You want my phone number?
Yeah.
Just a minute. I don't know it. I have to look. I never phone myself, so I don't know what my phone number is. Okay, so 91, of course, that's
00
India.
91.
91. Yeah, then the number is 862.
862.
89.
89.
55.
55.
451.
No. 55.
Yeah. And then 451.
451. That's all?
Yeah. 862-89-55451.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I will try to.
Okay.
Okay, I will send to you.
Yes, it's here.
I am giving you my name.
Yep. How do you pronounce it?
Lwiis. It is in French Louis or Louis.
Okay, Lwiis.
In Arabic we pronounce it Lwiis or Lewis.
Okay.
I am a professor of Indian religious and also comparative religious study. I have 70 books in this field.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the last one is this one on Sufism. From many years I read this book on you, and I was impressed on
yes.
it. And after my Professor Jacqueline told me about you, so we started to talk on you in the university and also in our symposiums. And people in Lebanon are more and more interested about meditation and Buddhist knowledge. That's why they like to hear someone like you who is spreading this message of peace and message of peace in mind and peace in society. And that's why today we are so happy to welcome you and to hear you. And
so in Lebanon, the main religion is Islam or Christianity?
Both. 50-50.
Okay.
From the beginning of Lebanon on 1920, they were 50-50. For the moment, maybe Muslims are more in number, but they still are both here, and both are leading and governing the country.
So the government itself is what?
The government,
the
president is Christian, and the prime minister is Muslim.
Okay. How do they get on?
How?
Yeah, how do are they more or less harmonious?
Yeah, there is a lot of problems, and also this problem with Israel and problems in the society, so many, and also actually a big problem in many levels, in religious levels, in also economical levels. Dollar is going up from 1,500 and today it is 13,000, something like 10 times more in 1 year.
How is the pandemic with you?
Also pandemic is there because also as everywhere, so many people are dying due to COVID, and situation, people are scared about this virus and also about so many other problems. So one problem between others, so we have a lot of problems in same time. So people mostly are suffering from such a situation.
Yeah.
Well, people are coming more and more. So I hope that we will keep in touch and will organize for some also visit of you to Lebanon.
Well, when the time comes, we'll see what happens, you know, but at the moment, the end is not in sight.
Yeah, we'll at least wait the end of this pandemic.
Who knows what will happen?
Yeah. Yeah, it seems, who knows how long it will remain.
No, it's very difficult. I mean, you know, as soon as it seems to be getting less, at least here in India and elsewhere, you know, it rises again. So now, again, of course, as you know, the virus is mutating. So maybe the vaccination's not much use. And, you know, it just keeps on.
Are you taking some precautions in your monastery?
Well, our most precaution is that the nuns don't go out and we don't have visitors coming in. So in that way, we're in lockdown. And the nuns are fine. I mean, they just carry on with what they're doing, their studies and their pujas and so forth. So far, they're okay and nobody's been infected. I've had one vaccination. I have to take the next one next week. But
you already took vaccination? First one.
Yeah, the Indian vaccination is quite nice. I mean, you know, vaccinations are vaccinations, but it's called COVID safe or something. It doesn't have very strong, you know, problems. People
so you advise your nuns to take vaccinations and people who know?
I don't know. At the moment, they're only giving it to over 60s. And I think they're running out of vaccine because they've been sending it to everybody else, like to Nepal and Bhutan and even to Canada. And now they've run out. So our nuns are quite young. I mean, the youngest is about 5 years old and the oldest is only about 45 years old. So most of them are teenagers or girls in their 20s. So as a result, they will be last on the list to be vaccinated. When and if the time comes, I will simply ask them, do you want it or not? It's up to them. They have to make the choice. I can't tell them you must have it or you shouldn't have it. We'll see. But I think it's many months ahead before they will be given the opportunity because, you know, they're young and they're probably the last on the list to get a vaccine. And as I say, at the moment, it seems like vaccine is running out. There are not so many anymore.
From the beginning of this pandemic, you still remain in India or you are moving?
Me?
Yes.
I'm staying here. I've been here now for over, you know, since last December. I mean, not last December, December way back when. And we haven't moved since the lockdown in March 2020. So we're all just here, which is very nice. Normally I'm traveling. And now I'm just staying here in the nunnery, experiencing the you know, the rhythm of the monastic year. Normally I'm running all over the place. And so it's very nice being here. And the nuns also are happy that we're all together and there are no visitors and the nuns don't go out. We have grounds, you know, we have gardens and things, so they're not stuck inside the building.
Please just check if you got my message to be sure.
Yes, I did.
We are in touch.
Yes, we are. I got it.
Just send one. So
yeah. Yes, Dr. Lwiis Saliba.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
961-3847, etc. Here it is.
Okay. Just send one. Any message to be sure that.
Yes, it's fine. You want me to send a message?
Yeah. Small message.
I'm not sure how I know how to. I never use this thing, you know.
Whatever.
I don't know how to, but you're on my phone, so that's. I think that's enough. I don't know how to send a message. I never use this. That's why I don't know the number. You know?
You don't use it? You don't reply to message?
Well, if I get a message, I reply to it, but I hear it's not coming up as a thing to reply to.
Anyway, also I will take your email from Jack, or if you can write your email. So maybe by email it will be easier.
Yeah, I think so. I hardly use this thing. It's just there as an alarm clock, really.
This moment or after, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, in a few minutes, maybe because people are still coming, we are at 93. How many we can receive?
Yes, it's 9 o'clock at night.
Jacques, we can receive more than 100?
Écoute, je pense pas. Je pense pas. Pour mardi prochain, on va le faire.
Hein?
Pour mardi prochain, on va le faire. Mais là, c'est une surprise et donc, je ne pense pas qu'on puisse dépasser 100. On va voir, hein, on va voir. Mais...
On est à 100 maintenant.
Oui.
Sacré ouais, il y a des gens qui sortent dans le communauté.
D'accord, il y a une amie française qui nous écoute.
Apparemment, quand on arrive à 100, il n'y a plus de...
Oui, ça ne monte plus, oui. On est plein, oui.
Bah, tant pis.
Oui.
Je t'avais prévenu, Jacques.
Oui.
Voilà. Je commence en français, en arabe, et puis I will introduce a little bit in Arabic and in French, and after we'll start directly in English. إذن السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Bonsoir à tout le monde. C'est une grande joie de recevoir parmi nous une grande nonne. C'est déjà, elle est le gourou de notre professeur cher Dr Jacques Vigne, et on a essayé depuis des mois d'être en contact avec elle, et finalement elle a accepté d'être notre hôte et de répondre à nos questions qu'on a préparées, moi et mon professeur Jacques Vigne. Il n'y a pas grand-chose pour la présenter, vous la connaissez. Et je vais la présenter en 2 mots en anglais pour ne pas prendre trop de temps et puis commencer directement les questions. Donc, a few words in English. It was my first meeting with Jetsumna Tenzin Palmo when I saw this book on her. And after many years, my professor, Dr. Jacques Vigne, told me on her and that he is in link with her. And in our first World Symposium in 25 May 2019, we had in the beginning a speech from her. People in Lebanon was so impressed, and also this speech, I make it in interview and publish it in one of the famous magazines in Lebanon, and it has done a very nice effect. That's why from such a moment, people are asking us to welcome Tenzin Palmo first on interview and after maybe on visit. At least for the moment, we are in direct link and in direct interview with her. So all our greetings and thanks for her. And we start if you have firstly some beginning message as a beginning, it is up on you to talk, dear Jet Sumna.
No, not really. I'm just very honored to be allowed to speak to you here in India. We're in North India, and to make this direct communication to you in Lebanon. I mean, modern technology has brought many, many problems to the world, but it also brought some gifts. And one of them is the gift of Zoom. Yeah. That we are able to unite through around the world together and see each other and hear each other and communicate with each other at a time when it's very important that as human beings, we do interconnect and communicate and hear each other. So I'm very honored and thank you very much for inviting me this evening.
Jetsumna, as a British woman by origin, why and how you was attracted by Buddhism and especially by Tibetan Buddhism?
Well, I mean, of course, as everybody, it's a long story, but from very early childhood, I had believed that we are inherently perfect, that our nature is something beyond thought, but we had lost contact with our true nature. And so we had to come back again and again until we rediscovered who we really were, our innate perfection. So throughout my childhood, I was looking for a path. What is perfection and how do we acquire it? Yeah, so I was looking for a path towards this innate perfection. But all the religions which I came across, especially Christianity, Judaism, I even tried reading the Quran, they didn't really speak to me because I didn't really have much feeling for the idea of some outer being who was, you know, sort of like a puppet master pulling all the strings and then at the end was going to judge us. I didn't believe that. And so most of the established religions I knew of didn't speak to me. And then when I was 18, I read a very basic, simple book on Buddhism, on the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and so forth. And even as I was reading it, I knew this was it. This was what I had always known, but didn't know I knew it. And I was so grateful to the Buddha for explaining so clearly about our own innate perfect nature and how to reach it, how to, not just, you know, what to do, but how to do it. I mean, Buddhism is full of techniques for transforming our mind, our heart mind. And so even as I was reading the book, I recognized that I not only was a Buddhist, but I had always been Buddhist. I just didn't know it. As to Tibetan Buddhism, that I was less interested in. This was the early 60s, 1960s, 61. And so very little was known in the West at that time. His Holiness the Dalai Lama had just escaped from Tibet in 1959. Nobody really knew what was going on. The Tibetans were refugees. The communists, the Chinese communists had taken over Tibet. And so there were very, very, very few reliable books on what is Tibetan Buddhism. But having read that there are various traditions in Tibetan Buddhism, then a voice inside me told me my tradition. And I was really, oh no, not Tibetan Buddhism. It's too complicated, too difficult. But anyway, I realized if I was going to study Tibetan Buddhism, I needed to find a teacher. And so that's why when I was 20 years old, I went to India to look for my Lama.
Jetsumma, what does it remain in the present day Tenzin Palmo from the Western civilization and culture?
Well, you know, basically, of course, I'm English, and I mean, I've never tried to become Tibetan. You know, yes, I want to be a good Buddhist practitioner, but I don't want to turn into a Tibetan. I'm perfectly happy to be a Westerner practicing the Dharma. So when I was, how old was I? Goodness knows, somewhere in my 40s. Anyway, I had been in India for 24 years, and then I was asked to leave the country. So then friends of mine invited me to Italy. And I had felt that after 24 years in India, from when I was, 20, I needed to reconnect with Western culture. So when I was invited to go to Italy, it seemed like the perfect place for Western culture. And it was indeed, it was very enriching, because in India, you only hear about Indian culture, or among the Tibetans, Tibetan culture. And nobody knows about Western art, literature, music. I mean, even when I was in Italy, I studied a lot on medieval Christianity and the whole Renaissance period and so forth. And it was really, I don't know, it was very nourishing, very nourishing. And so I think that, Tibetan culture is wonderful, and Indian culture is very profound, but Western culture also is very, very, enriching also. So it's good to have it all.
What about the situation of the women in Tibetan society, and especially the situation of nuns in Tibetan spiritual tradition?
Well, I mean, although it is understood that we all have inherent Buddha nature, nonetheless, Buddhism, like every other religion in the world, is quite patriarchal. And so it has always been that women had a secondary role, even though women in Buddhism are quite strong, but they are nonetheless subsidiary to the males. And likewise with the nuns, that they were not given education that the monks were given. And as a result, you're always, you're a second-class citizen if you have no education. The key is education. But now, I mean, since the modern times, when girls are given equal education in the secular world with the boys and have done very, very well, likewise in the monasticism, now nuns are given the same study program as the males. They are learning all the philosophical texts which the monks had done, and are gaining high degrees, and themselves are now teachers. Which is a very important point. I mean, in our nunnery here, almost all we only have one male teacher. All the other teachers are nuns. And so they're nuns teaching nuns. And therefore, they have now a tremendous sense of inner confidence. Previously, they had quite low self-esteem because they felt very stupid not being educated. But now that's completely changed. And these young nuns coming up have tremendous confidence and a belief in their own abilities, and they do everything, and they don't need to keep running back to the boys anymore. And the good thing is that the monks and the lay people really respect that and love the nuns and encourage them and train them in ways which, because they really believe in their potential. So everything's very changed now from how it used to be within a very short time.
This changement is due to what, Jitsumna?
Education and the recognition that, I mean, as the Prime Minister of Bhutan remarked to me, actually women are usually more devoted, more focused, and often more intelligent than the males. So how is it that we have overlooked them and neglected them for so long?
What about
that's the point. Now they are not being neglected. They're not overlooked. Now that all the emphasis is on empowerment of the women.
What about the situation of women in Buddhist scriptures? Is it equal to men, or also in the scripture there is differences?
Well, you know, there are scriptures in which women themselves discuss their own enlightenment experiences and how they met with the Buddha and how he taught them and how they got nirvana and so forth. But on the whole, the books were written by the boys, right? And when they're written by the males, then naturally they have the male perspective. So some of the texts are quite misogynic, but not all, not all. I mean, many texts start out, oh, sons and daughters are good family, and the daughters are not neglected. And in many of the sutras also, especially Mahayana sutras, the main protagonists are women. So it's there, but of course, I mean, Buddhism, like every other religion, is, you know, weighted in favor of a male birth, and women are regarded as, you know, less fortunate. If you're a woman, it's because you had, you know, inferior karma.
Okay. Jetsumna, what is your relationship to the Dalai Lama, both personally and as a founder of nunnery?
Well, His Holiness, of course, is a great inspiration to us all. I mean, he's a great bodhisattva. I first met him in 1964, and I have seen him from time to time since then. When he sees me now, he says, oh, here's my old friend, you know, because we have known each other so many, many years. And he's very warm, very loving, and, you know, gives you big hugs. And is really very supportive of women, of course. He's always been very, very supportive.
He's not your master.
Higher ordination and of education. Huh?
He is not your master, your direct master. Is he your master?
No. We belong to a different... No, he's not my master. I mean, he belongs to a different tradition, a different lineage. But for all Tibetans, he is the, you know, he's the one uniting force.
Yeah.
That even when people don't agree with his political policies, they all know that he's a really very good man, which he is. I mean, and he's always been extremely supportive of education for nuns and for women in general. And many of his cabinet now in exile are women. And he's a good man. I mean, he's really extraordinary considering, you know, what he has to put up with, how kind he is to everybody and how open-hearted. He's a wonderful leader for the Tibetan people.
You know, Jetsumna, we are in actual big problem around the world, the pandemic. And how the actual problems due to COVID-19 may, according to you, awaken consciousness in Arab countries and throughout the world?
Well, I think one thing it teaches us is our interconnection as human beings. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, Arab or Jewish or French or English or American or Japanese, or could care less. The virus is completely interconnecting us all and showing us that beyond all these, you know, really very superficial differences and divisions, we are, at the end of the day, human beings inhabiting the same planet.
Yeah.
And where are the divisions when you come to that? So I think this is very important to recognize our interdependence and our interconnections with each other and how we should help each other, you know, rather than just creating more and more problems on this earth. Why don't we get together to cooperate and you know, work together as humans instead of all this national and religious bigotry, which creates so many problems in this world. I mean, how stupid we are. We are supposed to be Homo sapiens, but we're not very, very wise, really. We are really extra, because we keep making the same mistakes again and again and again. Read history, you know.
Which kind of mistakes are you
we
talking
never
about?
learn. We never learn from our stupidity. We just keep repeating and repeating and repeating. And it's so sad, because we have great potential as human beings. And yet we don't use our potential. Huh?
Mistakes like what you are talking about?
Well, like we were fighting each other. We're always thinking, I'm best and you're right. I'm right, you're wrong. And, you know, I'm this and you're that. And since time began, we're always fighting each other over things which are not important, instead of cooperating in the things which really matter, which is like in, you know, developing our genuine intelligence and opening our heart to genuine love and compassion for all beings, because we're all here sharing the same planet.
Yeah.
And why are we always fighting each other and making biases and creating problems? We never learn. We kill each other, we blow each other up, and then we take a breath, and then we start again. You know, if that is not stupid, tell me what is stupid. Look at what we're doing, this beautiful, beautiful planet we live on. And what are we doing with it? You know, I mean, also the planet which we're destroying, you know, everything. We are not very intelligent. I'm sorry.
Jetsumna, so what should the monk or any other spiritual seekers do to protect themselves from the psycho-spiritual effects of this pandemic?
Well, I think, first of all, we can just, instead of generating more fear and paranoia, we can try to cultivate genuine compassion and loving kindness and send that out into the world. Because, you know, our thoughts are very powerful. And if we're always sending out thoughts of paranoia, anger, hatred, and fear, that pollutes the whole psychic atmosphere of the planet. And so anyone who is into a spiritual tradition, it doesn't matter which spiritual tradition, that's totally irrelevant, or no spiritual tradition, just coming from the essential goodness of their heart, sending out love, sending out compassion, sending out healing and peaceful, just sending out good thoughts into all the darkness. So, I mean, in that darkness, even a candle will shine a long way, as they say. And it's true. People could come together in groups and just sit and generate loving kindness and compassion, peace, and imagine it being sent out to all around the world, their own country, and then to other countries which they might regard as being their enemies, especially to those countries. Send out some love and fearlessness. You know, we should not give in to fear. We should be fearless.
Fear, you talk about fear, and people around the world are really scared about this COVID-19. So what we have to do, or what we have to tell them, and how we can help ourselves and others in such a situation?
Well, I mean, you can, I mean, if you know of people who are in need or in help, you can reach out and help them. Join groups that are helping other people and so forth. But also there is the power of prayer.
Okay.
The power of prayer is very important. And the power of, as I say, of meditating and sending out strong, powerful thoughts. Positive thoughts instead of negative thoughts, because merely being miserable and frightened doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help ourselves, doesn't help anyone else. So why give in to that? rather to think about, as I say, the fact that this has proved to us our interconnection with all beings. Friends, enemies, that's just our mind. These are just people. Everybody are just people out there who want to be happy, don't want to be sad. You know, we should get beyond all these small biased boxes in which we keep our minds and our hearts. Break open those boxes and let the light in. This is very important. And we could do that during this pandemic rather than sit together and become very negative.
Okay. Jetsumna, what do you think of Christians, including some monks and nuns, using Buddhist meditation in their practice?
Why not? I mean, so many of the attraction of Buddhism to Christians is that it gives techniques for realizing the essential principles which they are also talking about. For example, in Christianity, they talk a lot about love and compassion. And Buddhism has techniques for developing love and compassion. It doesn't just say be kind, be loving. It gives you methods for cultivating those
like what
principles.
These techniques to cultivate love? And
well, like loving kindness and compassion meditations, you know, the Brahma Viharas, you know, for cultivating. First of all, giving love to oneself, wishing oneself to be well and happy, and then to people one loves, people one is neutral towards, then people who one regards as one's enemies, wishing them also to be well and happy, and then out further and further to all the whole world. Well, I mean, there are definite set practices. So the Christians really appreciate this. Also, just learning how to make the mind more calm, how to open up the heart, and various meditation techniques. When I lived in Italy, I would go sometimes to these conferences run by Christian monks. And all the people there, they were of the various Christian denominations, like, you know, Catholic, of course, but Benedictines and Carthusians.
Allô?